All right, this is the engine bay inspection of the 2015 Lincoln MKZ. There's a significant amount of grease deposition, maybe from an arrested leak or repair, but it's pretty generalized. It's kind of all over the place. Could be age related. I'm not seeing anything active leaks or anything like that. Might have had some replacement componentry in here. A lot of times what this will be is like a failed valve cover, and then that valve cover just kind of squirts oil and smokes and kind of travels around the engine bay. I don't see any deposition of carbon up here or anything on the hood. The liner, you'd see like a spot or a stain along here where the smoke or the carbon was collecting, like a filter on this. But there's just a general amount of kind of greasy coating. She's just dirty in here, and there's not really an explanation as to why. Like I said, could have been an arrested leak from a long time ago, but it's just kind of generally greasy in here. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a pass, but I want that to be monitored. I don't smell anything. The engine sounds fine. The fluids check out fine. Just something to be aware of, that maybe at a path point in its life it had an issue with a leak somewhere that was arrested. It might also have been that some of these components might be a junkyard swap or a used part, like a transmission. These things are known for chucking transmissions and blowing those, or timing chain issues. So if it's got a junkyard transmission, that might be a perfectly functional and fine transmission, but it's been sitting out, which might explain some of the exposure we see over here. So just something to document. Thank you. This is the exterior inspection of the 2015 Lincoln MKZ. We're gonna walk the car, but right away, just some minor stuff. We got a little kind of maybe some collision, scrape parking lot damage right here on the bumper cover clearance light. Checking for collision, checking for panel gaps, any sort of deviations in overall frame or fitment. We're gonna walk the car, so I'm not seeing any here on front driver. Let's see B pillar, let's see C pillar is square. We're gonna go around the back, pull on the bumper cover, make sure it feels secure, follow the trunk lines, follow that over, make sure that looks square. Trunk opens and closes just fine, so no fitment issues there. A little bumper cover pull right here, pretty common, same thing, parking lot type deal, real common. There's just plastic clips that hold these things on, so 10 years, 100,000 miles, it's really common to see stuff like that. C pillar, rear driver's side square, B pillar square, and A pillar looks square. Other than just the kind of vehicle showing a little bit of its exterior age, it's been a driver, vehicle's been on the road, been used. So other than that, the exterior gets a pass. Thank you. So I apologize, it's very hard to see. The vehicle is very low to the ground, and there's a lot of plastic paneling underneath the vehicle. Ford also uses these kind of felt sheets for noise deadening, kind of quieting the vehicle. One of them it's still attached, but it appears a bit deformed. They shrink and expand and change with age. It's really common with these felt panels for them to do that. So not an immediate concern. You kind of see it right there. Not an immediate concern, but just be aware. The entire vehicle is coated with these underneath, so it's real hard to get kind of a good visibility on underneath the vehicle. I don't see any high centering or significant scraping or anything like that, but there's just so much paneling under there that it's hard to see any sort of suspension components. The exhaust is fine. I'm able to see that, obviously, because it's a heat item. It gets hot, so they're not going to cover that up. But the entire underside of this vehicle's got aero on it, so it's kind of hard to observe and document anything under here other than just that the aero itself is secure. I don't see any drips or leaks, and the vehicle as it sits is not leaking. So I'm going to go ahead and give the exterior a pass. I did also check the front belly pan, and it appears dry, and not like it's been cleaned, but it appears dry, and I'm not seeing any active leaks under this vehicle. So yeah, undercarriage gets a pass. Thank you. Okay, this is the interior inspection of the 2015 Lincoln MKZ. Not seeing any abuse in here, not seeing anything that would strike me as mistreatment or anything, but there's wear in the leather. The driver's seat has this trim piece under here is kind of loose. It's real common. Fit and fitment on excuse me, certain Ford models and stuff can be kind of discount, and it's pretty common to see. This is real typical age related wear that I see on Ford products of this age. So it's just normal stuff. I would classify that as it's to be expected. We're looking at a vehicle with 106,000 miles, and There's been butts in here, so it's been used. It could do with the cleaning. I do prefer that dealers don't go too hard at cleaning because I appreciate that it doesn't look like they're trying to cover anything up. So I do appreciate it doesn't look like it's been significantly worked over. The carpet, however, is not destroyed. The door handles aren't gouged up. Even the driver's side is clean. Steering wheel isn't chewed up and destroyed. So this is normal wear and tear. You know, your butt goes in there and it flexes the leather, and it just over time, and then your black fabric stains it. So a good cleaning. The interior look really good. The A-pillars here got some fingerprints and stuff on them. Very common stuff. So a lot of vehicles, this A-pillar here will be plastic, so it won't take these fingerprints or this dirt, but obviously there's cloth is a soft surface. Ford was going for a soft surface in here, so that's why it looks like that. All the interior functions work. Infotainment works. Everything in the interior driver facing works, and there's no malfunction indicator lamps on here. So the interior does get a pass. Thank you. Not much going on in the trunk back here. I documented this kind of water intrusion on this panel. There's probably just a rubber seal inside here that if the interior liner was disassembled, it can be replaced. Going under here, not seeing an emergency roadside kit in here, just a tire. Looks like there is some componentry, maybe a funnel underneath the spare tire here, but not much going on in the trunk here. If it did have a roadside kit, it's largely incomplete, so I did mark that incomplete. Otherwise, the trunk is clean. I'm not seeing any water lines or rodent infestation or anything like that, so the trunk is going to get a pass. Thank you. This is the code scan of the 2015 Lincoln MKZ. So this is pretty typical. We're going to go over this right now. I'm not going to go through every one of these because it's just very time consuming, and none of them individually should be too much of a concern. But this is pretty typical with Ford luxury models as they age. You're going to get a bank of codes that largely don't have a lot of concerns that are driver facing. They might even be historical codes that will set. So no transmission, no engine codes in here. It's also good to see these because typically if you would have an owner or dealer would clear out the computer, most scan tools don't give you an individual option to clear out, one module. It tends to be a nuclear option, so it clears everything out. So it's good to see that these are set in here. So it means that no one's been in here fiddling with the computers. That's an indicator that likely they're being pretty transparent with the sale in terms of not trying to cover up any computer problems or shenanigans, catalytic converters, stuff like that. So we've got an example. The body control module has a fault for the hood switch. When you have the hood open and closed, there's a sensor that detects that and tells you on your dash. Same thing like driver door jar. Well, the door's open right now. There's a sensor for that. So everything you do, there's a sensor for that. There's a sensor for the steering column moving in and out. There's a fault for that in the body module. You've got driver seat module. Well, there's a break in the trim down there. So is there something wrong with the wiring in there? Front controls interface module, power steering control module. Now, these faults, let's just pick an example. I'm going to check the power steering control module. I'm going to check the analog braking system. Ford modules are typically very slow to communicate with. Very common. Oh, popped right away. When I first started this, it was taking forever. Read codes. Let's see how long this takes. As a side note, the battery voltage, starting and charging for this vehicle is very healthy. I've watched this run at 14.8 and it's dropped to 14.5. But that's perfectly normal. This is real typical stuff. Battery voltage for what? Well, it's a communication code, so it's a computer code U, and it just says battery voltage. Well, battery voltage is fine. So it could have been a dead battery, could have been replaced battery. This code could be here for a very long time. If we go into freeze frame data here, see if we can even decode some of this stuff. So global real time, it's been running for a long time, so it probably set this code a long time ago, and probably just a bad battery. The battery has been replaced since 2021, and it's a Ford Motorcraft battery. So that's a dealer battery. So this vehicle has seen some dealer service at least since 2021. So again, that's what you're gonna see with these codes, a lot of inconsequential stuff that's just sitting in here. That's the computer is not too concerned to kick a check engine light towards the driver. These are codes that are for more technician facing kind of codes that might, to a layman, might look like there's a whole bunch going on, but in reality, it's just the computer reporting that something somewhere has happened at some time. The problem with that facing is a lot of the driver facing luxuries and things can start failing because it's a Ford and it's 10 years old, so that you might start losing certain sensors like the hood switch and stuff like that. We're gonna check one more. We're gonna check the anti-lock brakes. Let's see what it wants. Excuse me. This is the okay, battery voltage. So there's a shared battery voltage code. So that makes me think there's no check engine lights for ABS, or I mean not check, it's malfunction indicator lamps, traction control, ABS, it's all working. The computer's not concerned. So more evidence following the breadcrumbs that says that this has to do with probably just a bad main service battery. But again, the alternator and the charging system up here in the corner, we're doing just fine, 14.5 volts. So even seeing all these codes in here, I'm gonna go ahead and give the code scan a pass. Nothing in here is concerning me, so thank you. This is the conclusions video for the 2015 Lincoln MKZ. Largely the vehicle comes back clean. The engine bay had some oil and grease deposition that I didn't like to see, but I didn't smell or hear anything that would lead me to believe that there was any core issues. You know, just from the visual inspection, I didn't see any active leaks or anything like that. The body has documented little wear and tear spots. Same with the interior. You know, it's pretty easy to observe that on the A-pillars and the seats and so on. All driver-facing componentry works just fine. I do want to document on the road test two things. One of which is that the vehicle, even after warmed up, does have a somewhat hard shift. From first to second, a 1-2 shift. You kind of feel it kind of, it's just kind of not slamming, it's just kind of short shifting, kind of boom into second. I've seen replacing transmission fluid can clear up some minor shifting issues. It's very common, very likely this vehicle has never had a transmission service. So changing the fluid can smooth those things out, and I have experienced that on customer vehicles and just transmissions in general. So that would be number one, but that does need to be something that's documented, that the transmission, I wouldn't want to see that become worse or develop into a larger problem. I believe I felt one a little bit higher up, maybe past into fourth or past fourth. That one was a lot more subtle. I wasn't able to recreate it too many times. Only felt that once or twice, but the 1-2 shift was very noticeable and pronounced, and it stays, it's present. The other one is going down Empire here in Spokane. There was a right rear clunk that could be something like similar to sounding maybe like a ball joint or a control arm. There's no vibrations on the highway. High-speed test came back fine. The vehicle tracked straight. There was nothing that you know, no internal vibrations at 60, 70 plus miles an hour to lead me to think there's a significant issue with suspension. It might be something like a bushing on a control arm that's on its way out. There's a lot of aero and cowling and material in the way. There's not an easy way to get any sort of observation, any eyes on any sort of suspension linkage in the back to see if that's what it is. It very well could have been the trunk tire as well. The trunk tire, the spare tire is not secure, and we were hitting some pretty significant bumps on Empire. Now, I did hear it from right rear, but it's a long vehicle and sound does travel in reference, so I would keep my eyes on that. You know, lean somewhere, but that's that. I would park that at minor, but get that checked out. The transmission fluid is the one that I would want to see if a drain and fill or a flush would improve that 1-2 shift. Ford, especially the later model, the non-truck variant transmissions are not known for being super long-lived or super reliable. I would just like to see that fluid changed out and see if that improves the operation of the transmission. Otherwise, though, for the age, for the condition, I'm going to go ahead and give the vehicle a pass. And again, I just want those things documented, that they be observed and addressed. Thank you very much.